a balance of everything that we do. It's no use having a lot of money and being spiritually bankrupt, or it's no use being wonderfully spiritual and sleep under a bridge. So that wheel of life has to be in harmony completely. The family, the health, the finance, the community. So we've got a man who is just 50 and has the largest home care business in the US. And it's, how many states is it? It's I'll tell you in a second. Comprising over 3,000 home care centers and offering services from over 350 physicians in a range of specialties, which he'll explain. He's an optometrist by profession, and I heard a rumor, and I'll let him tell you, that he completed an exam in 35 minutes, an important exam when everybody else took, I don't know, an hour and a half or something. So he's also a little extraterrestrial in his brain. He's also the head coach of his son's high school volleyball team. He's a spiritual coach with his teacher, helping people in Jamaica. And if that's not enough, very successful entrepreneur and health coach to many physicians in his Pharmanex business, a true leader of leaders. So I'm so pleased to have Andy Feltz on the call today. So I'd like to ask Andy a couple of questions. So Andy, my first question to you is, who is Andy Feltz?
That's very deep, Lawrence, and I appreciate the introduction. Very, very, very generous of you. You know, I've always ascribed to, you know, tickling around some philosophies, and that, you know, you are what you do, and action is super important to me. And then I do work a little bit with my volleyball team to try to mentor them. And one of the lines I use with them is you tend to end up in life like the people you associate with, which is one of the reasons I love being involved in the Healthcare Alliance and the Pharmanex business. It's because I want to surround myself with people that have dreams, take action, are committed to you know, their own personal growth and also helping others. So you are in life what you do and who you associate with.
I think that
answer your question. Now I could spin that back to what you were, you know, referencing, which is mindset, right? Well, if you have a pretty poor mindset, do much of good, and you're going to associate yourself with losers who perpetuate that loser mentality mindset. So maybe I'm oversimplifying it and saying you are what you do, because you probably do a lot of what you think about.
So birds of a feather flock together.
Right, for sure. And
So,
if you have a negative mentality and a mentality of scarcity of resources, a mentality of zero-sum financial and growth. I love competition, but it's not a zero-sum game that we're playing. There's not finite ability here. So I shouldn't get jealous if somebody in my community gets a scanner and it's not in my group. I should feel happy because there's plenty of opportunity within the scanner program, right?
right.
I shouldn't feel jealous if somebody else has a business that grows, because I can find other opportunities out there. It doesn't limit my ability. So having a abundance mentality, you know, growth mindset, seeing that there's potential and not a finite, you know, opportunity. That's what I really liked about the Pharmanex business, is not only could I grow something for myself, but I could help other people grow something. So in my mobile care business, we have about 400 physicians that work for us, and not a single one of them can make more money than I do in that business. It's not possible. It's not structured that that's ever going to happen. But it gives me great pleasure to strive to help people in my team make more money than I do at Pharmanex. That's really awesome that it plays into that abundance mindset.
So you're altruistic, generous, you got a growth mindset. So there's nothing to stagnate your way of thinking. And you see no limitations in what you do. Is that more or less fair?
Yeah, I mean,
Compassion.
we all have to beat back the demons of negativity. It's not like I'm superhuman or something, right? But by by practicing good mental habits and surrounding yourself with great people like Lawrence Kazan Cassini on a daily basis, I'm privileged to be able to speak with someone who cares for other people and has great passion for what he does. And every one of you can find that in your upline, downline, sideline community, whatever that is, to find find good people. The Think and Grow Rich book and talks about that that mastermind group really works. So I'm very fortunate to have somebody like Dr. DiMichelangelo in my group, who was a friend of mine before the business, and I was sitting in his dental chair getting my teeth worked on, and said, "Why aren't you scanning your patients?" And it's only strengthened our friendship, and we get to talk on a daily basis about more than just Pharmanex. We talk about our kids, and he's one of the best parents I've ever met. And so I'm a better parent because we got involved in Pharmanex together. Those kind of things are awesome. And
So Andy, what drives you? I mean, you've got various facets in your life, like in business. So you've got a lot of drive for your businesses, several of them, lots of them. But you've also got all these other parts of your life that are so important. What actually drives you?
I think I'm competitive. I want to win. Whatever the game is, I want to figure it out and win. If I don't win, that's okay. But I want to learn from that. We played a game last night with my kids. We played a new board game. I generally win, but which they make fun of me all the time about. It's like, Dad's gonna win again. Well, last night I didn't win, but along the way I was kind of taking mental notes about, now I'm starting to figure this game out. Here's the strategy. So life's a puzzle. I love puzzles. Pharmanex is a puzzle for me. Like, how are we going to structure this? What are the how are we going to layer this in and build this thing? So in 5 to 10 years, it's generating this this great income and helping a ton of people. So I'm very competitive.
So
we're very driven with my brother, and I have an older brother who is.
Oh, good. That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, so I have an older brother. He's 3 years older than me, and he was very, very intelligent and very well behaved, and I was the opposite of that. So it was very difficult to follow him from a sibling standpoint, and also in school. Why aren't you like your brother? I'm like, well, I don't want to be like my brother. I want to be better than him. So I've been able to flip the tables now. And I'm the favored son because I've got 3 kids. For my parents love their grandkids, and been relatively successful in business and whatnot. So sometimes it takes a little time. I got off to a slow start, but I got running. So your circumstances can dictate a little bit of that, and then you got to find a way to turn those circumstances into something that can drive you. Everybody's got a different story to tell. Some people have it harder to begin with. Some people have it easier. And can you find something in your circumstances that push you to be better than you were yesterday? So nobody should be judging themselves against, like I didn't necessarily judge myself against my brother. I just wanted to be better than him, but I didn't want to be a better him. I wanted to be me to be better. And so I think there's a Jordan Peterson wrote this in his book, which was, we shouldn't judge ourselves against other people. We should judge ourselves against yesterday's ourselves. So, am I better today than I was yesterday? And we do that a lot in volleyball. I rip on my kids in practice a lot. Did we advance ourselves as a team today in practice? And, if we didn't, I let them know. I said, we're not better today. We're worse today than we were yesterday. So when we get in the gym tomorrow, you guys have to have a different mindset. This is not an exercise in killing time. So when I pick up the phone or send out an email, it's not just checking boxes on the to-do list. It's got to be a exercise in improvement.
I like that. Exercise and improvement. I like that.
Right. So sometimes I'll set up a drill and they'll be like, okay, well, we just got to do this drill for 10 minutes and it'll be over, instead of how do I improve through this volleyball drill, right? So I could sit down and watch the 9:30 Facebook Live call and check the box that says, yeah, I watched it. Or I could take notes like Martin's doing. So you know, right? Cheers, my friend. I took notes while Lawrence was talking at the beginning there, because I wanted to write down what that book, Mindset, right? I want to read that. I haven't read that yet. So you can be engaged and trying to improve, or you can be passive. And I do not like to be passive.
Engaged or passive. See, there's an option. Good. So this is why I think people are so interesting, and it's fascinating to understand the mindset. Why are some people the way they are? Which, time is something that everybody says, I haven't got any time for. So if you want something to get done, look for a person that's really busy. Someone that's really busy will get it done. If someone's got, lots of time, you're on the wrong tree. How do you do what you do? Give us an X-ray of your normal day, and give us an X-ray of your normal day.
So my schedule can be a little hectic, so I don't know if there's a normal, but often I get up, make a pot of coffee. I do half calf, so I can drink twice as much. So so I mix mix decaf and regular caffeine together for my coffee. I love that.
Good idea.
that way I can drink a little bit more, because I love the flavor, but I don't need all the stimulants. I do a little puzzle on my iPad. I've started doing a half hour of that and then a half hour of Spanish. I'm trying to learn Spanish in 2020. That's my goal. I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't know a second language, so I'm working on that. And then I dive into some work stuff. I think strategic thinking, whiteboard for Farmanex. I have a whiteboard for my other company. If I'm in volleyball season, I'll try to do my practice planning early. So before other people get up or the sun rises is really good brain time for me. So I get up pretty early and get that kind of stuff done.
Puzzle? How does that?
And once 8 o'clock hits, we've got, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how does a puzzle fit in? What is a puzzle? I mean,
for me, what it does is I do a lot of thinking while I'm doing it, right? And it lets my creative brain flow while my visual spatial cortex is flowing. So I'm doing a jigsaw puzzle on my iPad, and I'm moving around colors and shapes. And I, just for me, that's not for everybody, just for me, it makes me feel like my creative juices are getting a little bit going. And I think about things while I'm doing it, right? I'm not just thinking, killing time. I'm using it to get my brain in a creative mode, because I want to be creative from 5 to 8. And then tasks kicked in between 8 and noon, and then maybe I'll get in a workout, or sometimes that varies. I might have to travel, so I do a fair amount of traveling other than during this time. So but I try to get creative stuff done early. So what's the strategy? Where can I go? Can I draft up new email conversations? Who am I going to call today? Let's get the schedule set up. Stuff like that.
Interesting. Creative versus tasks.
Yeah.
So, I don't think many people think creatively, or at least execute anything creatively. They kind of just delve into their tasks and go into their routines. But I think if you stimulate your brain and you start looking outside the box, and you start saying, well, what else can I do? How can I make today better than yesterday, like you've just said? It's a constant improvement, and it's a constant challenge to do something better.
Yeah, I
So
don't like tasks. This doesn't get me excited. Checking things off the box doesn't get me excited. I mean, you have to do them. That's life, right? It's called being an adult. It's like, my kids say, "Oh, I don't want to do that." Well, I do stuff every day I don't want to do. It's life, right? That's called being an adult. But if we can get creative early and make a strategy, and I've got my whiteboard. I got things that I'd like to accomplish and things that I have to accomplish, and then try to prioritize them and then start knocking them out. Because sometimes during the day you take calls, you got emails, you got distractions, and so it's hard to be creative after the world opens up. In my opinion, I can't. It's hard for me. When the world's open, that's we're doing tasks and we're moving along. But I can be thoughtful and creative and strategize before the world opens. Does that make sense?
yes. So I'm just going to change it a little bit and say, give me your take on your introspection and analysis of where we are today, or where we were a month ago, and how you see, if any, and what changes after this coronavirus has gone away. How are we going to be looking at our health, our businesses, what do you see? Anything different? What do you see?
I mean, I think the world in general moved pretty fast. People in general in society maybe relatively selfish sometimes. I think people are learning to appreciate some calmness. Now, that's not to discount the significant sacrifice that many frontline healthcare workers are experiencing and going through in dealing with some of the hot spots and the crises. I mean, most of the country's quiet. Even the healthcare workers are going through a bit of a tragedy in that they don't have work. But some places that's not the case, right? They're in the middle of a literal war zone. And then obviously the loss of life is tragic. But I think for much of society, it's been a introspective time, a little bit slower. And I'm hopeful, and I do believe that as things here in May start to ramp back up to a quote unquote normal existence, that people will value their health and wellness more than ever. I think slowly, but it's been almost like a split. You have a lot of our population saying, "Hey, I want to improve my health and wellness," and a lot, obviously more pre-diabetics than ever. Obesity's worse than ever. So there's been a little bit of a split. Yes, there's awareness in this pocket, and then there's the pocket that's not doing it. So hopefully out of this, we'll get some of these people moving up into this upper group, right? That want to do better with their health and wellness. And this virus is a perfect example, right? People that have good cardiovascular health, that have good BMI, the case fatality rate is darn near zero. But if you have those conditions, the case fatality rate is extremely high. It's not just elderly. That's not the problem. It's the other problems. So if you have high blood sugar, the virus is going to eat. It wants to eat sugar. It's going to feed. And if you have a high body mass index, if you're overweight, if you have poor cardiovascular health, those things are going to lead to it. So we have this great opportunity now to help people fight off either a second wave or the next virus, or just to live better. And so our message, I think, on the other side of this is going to be, extremely valuable. And physicians have had a reduction in their cash flow. So we're going to offer them an opportunity to come right out of this for a low cost investment, right? I buy a lot of equipment for our profession, dentists too. Everybody has to buy stuff to keep their clinics operating. $3,000, I mean, it's not much. And I think the public is going to demand ways to improve their immune system and to improve their overall health. And we have that answer. So I'm pretty excited, actually. It's a
Actually,
little, little dip, strategize, get creative, get ready, because week, 2 weeks before the clinics open, that's the time to really strike hard.
that's I 100% agree with you. And I was thinking, it's actually, I'm glad you said, you're excited, because the opportunity is phenomenal for us to really make an impactful difference to the thinking and to the actions of a lot of people that are in the healthcare world with the scanner, because that is still going to be a big differentiator, as it has been. And it's something that people can visually see. And, if you say to somebody cholesterol's 300, it's just a number, it doesn't mean anything. But if they see it on that little screen and they see where they are and where they should be, I think that's impactful. And I think having this experience of having people think about health and really focus on it is going to help our business. If we look at it from a point of view of not going out there in a sanguine sort of way and say, well, we've got the solution, no, but we've really got something to offer rather than push anything. We're offering something that is very valid. So I totally agree with you on that.
And don't underestimate the power of that scanner app interface. The visual part of that color wheel, I believe, some people don't like it or discount it. In my opinion, that color wheel is super important. I talk to patients, I've been practicing for 25 years, and we talk about eye pressure all the time and glaucoma. And it doesn't mean to give them numbers. It's numbers. They just don't. It doesn't change anybody's behavior at all. It just doesn't.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
But the color wheel does.
So on that subject of glaucoma, here's something that's important. I think very important. When we look at the fact that over 70%, approximately 70% of non-communicable diseases are preventable, such as cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes type 2, and lots of cancers, that encompasses almost every specialty of medicine that we can think about.
Well, and even if you can't prevent it, you can reduce its severity.
Yes.
And treat it better. So let's say you a disease like glaucoma that wasn't necessarily preventable, right? That doesn't mean that we ignore that nutrition piece, because that would have made it less severe. It would have allowed the treatments to work better. It's pretty much 100% of diseases can be positively impacted through what we're doing.
Exactly. And that encompasses all the medical practices. I mean, when you talk about optometry, you talk about obesity, diabetes, you talk about, then it gets into obesity, then it gets into inflammation, it gets into pain, it gets into, it's
Yep.
An interwoven situation for everybody. So Andy, I've got one last question. Is there anything that what is on your bucket list? What's a big thing on your bucket list? You probably don't have.
No, it's to visit you in South Florida. I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to go on vacation and come visit you, and now I can't. No, I think dreaming is really important, which is why I have my home office painted like this. So I live in Ohio because that's where I grew up. It's where I started my businesses. It's where my kids go to school. It's my community. But as soon as my kids are out of school, I want to have a house on the beach in the Caribbean and hang out there during the winter. So I constantly remind myself of that by, having myself surrounded by it visually. And whatever your dream is, it doesn't matter. I also have, dreams about helping. I help charities, but I want to help them more. I go to Jamaica and volunteer. give charitably and tithes from my Farmanex to the Feed the Children thing. That's all super important, and I am driven by, I would really like to write a bigger check, because people need it. And if I'm living in an abundance mentality, why don't I make more money and give it away rather than just say, well, there's only this much money to go around. What am I going to do? That's not a way to live.
So just a quick thing as a footnote, we really don't. 95% of what Farmanex is, or New Skin is Nourish the Children, but it's only 5% of what they do. And I would encourage everybody to just take a look on the ADRs. We've got a little place there that you can put there 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever it is, of whatever your income is. You can dedicate that to some bags of Nourish the Children. And I think if we all did that or throughout our teams, and we just say, look, when you sign up, we recommend or suggest that at least give something, even if it's, 4 bags would be $100 a month, but even do a percentage of what you earn, a small percentage, 1, 2, 5%, 3%. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I do a bag a month for each brand rep in my group.
Wow, there you go. Fantastic.
So I look at each month, how many brand reps do I have in my group? That's how many bags I donate that month. That's what I do. But I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's just easy. It's kind of tangible, you know what I mean? It's tangible, which makes
and
sense.
Measurable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wish you lots of brand reps.
Thank you, my
many
friend.
more. So Andy, I'm so grateful to you for your time. Thanks for answering all these questions. I just want to remind everybody, on Mondays, John Whitaker has a call at 9:30. Kent Nelson and Wendy Berman have a call on Wednesdays at 9:30, and then our call here. I hope you got something out of it. Andy, thank you so very much for everything. Everybody on the call, thank you, guys. Bless you. Have a great week, a week ahead. Blessings to you all.
Thanks for having me on, Lawrence. Very motivating. Appreciate it.
Blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you,
guys.
Lawrence.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Love